And we are live again. We made it back for another Saturday morning.
Yay!
Yay. We say yay. It's like it's so early.
It's so early, and I sang a little bit too much karaoke in my front room last night. Nowhere special, just singing to YouTube. Yeah, I'm a
Fuck
little
it.
bored.
Fuck it. Fuck it. Karaoke's fun. I don't care where you're
It
at.
is.
Karaoke's fun. It's more fun when you're drinking, but it's fun. So
I don't do the drinking thing, so.
I don't anymore either, but still like
But yeah.
memories. Oh my gosh, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Devil Made Me Do It podcast. I am your host, Joe, and this is
Dizzy and Gigi today, too. She's
Dizzy
going
and
to be keeping them
Gigi. I love kitties. I gotta shut the door because if mine comes in, she's gonna be meowing to get back out, or she's gonna be knocking stuff over, like being a total jerk just to get out. I'm just like, you know what? Just shut the door and save myself the drama.
Yeah.
So,
That's why they go outside when we go to bed at night, usually.
yeah.
But,
See, mine don't do that. Mine are cool. Like they don't have the zoomies. They don't do the whole
oh.
zoomy things in the middle of the night. They sleep with us
Oh, oh,
or
mine,
mama.
they normally do, but last night, Um, Rob was cooking a pork shoulder so on the
Ooh,
smoker all night. So we're about to have some awesome food today. But
ooh.
he was going in and out, and I guess she snuck back in. I have a dressing table beside our bed, and I tend to throw my outfits up there
Mhm.
and blankets, extra blankets and whatnot. She sleeps on top of it. This morning scared the living tar out of me when I went to go grab my tank top, and I hear meow.
It's
And no person's
alive.
even in there.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Animals are great. I love animals.
They keep you on your toes.
They do, just like children do. My lord. Ugh, my lord.
Oh my goodness.
So, today we're going to be talking about the true crime story that inspired the movie Alpha Dog. And I
Correct.
know that the film is a little more it kind of it stays in the same element of the story, but it is kind of embellished to help make it go along a little smoother, I suppose, make a movie out of it. But I didn't do a deep dive into this because this is a dizzy doozy this week.
This is a
So this
dizzy
is
dizzy.
it's a dizzy doozy. So this is your story this week. So I just kind of refreshed myself on what I know of this
Yeah.
story. I did watch the movie a lot. I think because Justin Timberlake is an amazing actor. Bruce
Yep.
Willis is fucking amazing. Sharon Stone is great. It was full of a lot of great actors.
Yeah, it really
Ben
was.
Foster. I think Ben Foster is a very underrated actor,
Yeah.
and he should have been in a lot more. But it's this movie is just full of great actors.
Full of great
It was a
actors.
really great film, and the story behind this is it's a little nutsos here.
Interesting. A little
Yeah.
interesting, to say
Yeah.
the least. Um, well, I want to start this off with this is one of the first cases that I really got sucked into of true crime. So I've been following it from the beginning. Um, but and we'll get started. August 10th of 2005, and Jesse James Hollywood was finally captured. Um, he was a teacher. I think they said he was a teacher in Paraguay or some foreign place near
And
Rio. It said it was like a 45-minute plane flight from Rio or something like that. So that he wasn't far from there, and
mhm.
apparently in a little surf place. Because I'm starting at the end because it took a while to catch Jesse. Jesse was a
Yeah.
slick guy, um, but um, he in 2000 and in 2000, August of 2000, uh, two hitchhikers found a decomposing body partially buried up in the mountains of the deserty mountains of the LA area.
Mhm.
Um, that was that was Nick's body that they had found. My notes I thought were better than this. I apologize, y'all.
No, it's good. It's good. We're getting the story. It's still good.
All right. And then in 2004, they made the movie. But it all started. Oh, when is that thing? I got it. Now I can't see it. My eyes are not working.
You lost your voice and your eyes last night at karaoke.
Right? Right? Oh my goodness. But Jesse James Hollywood's story, his childhood, he had a great childhood growing up. He played baseball and all this kind of stuff. His father was a big time pot dealer back in the day.
Mm-hmm. He was a grower too, wasn't he? Like, didn't he kind of like grow on low key?
I think that was the other Jesse's dad.
Oh, okay, yeah, because there is two Jessies.
There are two Jessies, and I'm gonna call Jesse James JJ if need be, just to kind of keep it straight. But these group of kids that were that caused this crime, they all grew up together. They all played baseball together, t-ball and baseball, and the community that they grew up with was very, very, I wouldn't say high end, but kind of in the middle, middle class family.
Middle high class kind of
Middle high
deal.
class family, yeah. There's plenty of money for extracurriculars and stuff like that. And the town was really, really big about the kids and keeping their time occupied.
They weren't hurting for nothing.
No, by no means. And then on top of it, like I said, Jesse James Hollywood played third base on his baseball team. His dad was the coach.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, all the other kids involved in this, they were on the team with him. And at 19, Jesse James decides he's gonna follow in his dad's footsteps, and in doing so, at the age of 19, was able to pay cash for a $200,000 home.
Oh, it must be nice.
Must be really nice. Just walk up, just throw it out there.
Yeah.
And to break down the group of friends that were hanging out, you had Ben. Ben was a brawler. Ben is Ben Markowitz.
Okay, yeah. Nicholas Markowitz, older half brother?
Older half brother, yes. They had the same dad but different moms.
Mm.
He was a juvenile delinquent. But they were really good friends. They had always been good friends until they had a big fight about the time this all goes down. Mm-hmm. He gets Ben goes for Jesse on his behalf because growing up together, they also started selling pot together, and he was one of his dealers, for the lack of a better term. And he was asked to go down and to basically get money back from somebody that didn't pay up. He's supposed to get the money back. And since he wasn't able to get the money back from the people or the person he was going to talk to, Jesse James then held him responsible for the debt. And it's still very unclear as to how much Jesse thought that Ben owed him, but it couldn't have been more than $1,200. But it fluctuates. I've seen 800, I've seen 12. It was just a lot of different. They don't know specifically, unless I'm wrong. But
I heard something similar but different, if that makes sense. Like, I heard that that Ben Markowitz owed Jesse James debt, or a debt from, I didn't hear that someone else owed it and then he couldn't collect it. I heard that he himself like kind of racked up a bill with him
No,
for
that's
drugs.
that's the other guy that's involved that actually does the deed.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
He's the
And
one that racked up the debt. But Ben,
okay.
yeah, Ben is played by, oh my goodness, I didn't write his name. But yeah, he plays the older skinhead brother that they depict in the movie.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah,
I
but
don't remember
they
any other names, who was who in the movie either. It's been so long since I've
and
seen
their
it, but I
names,
remember it was a great movie.
and that's the thing that caught Rob and I's attention. Like, we've seen this movie multiple times. Like you said,
Hmm.
it's an awesome flick. Um, but at the same time, we knew that their names had been changed, and I guess that was just
Oh.
because, yeah, in the movie, their names aren't what they really are. The
Oh.
only thing I can think for that is maybe because the case hadn't been finalized yet at the
Mm,
time of the movie's release.
that
They
makes
were
sense.
just starting the trial. So I think that's the reason why their names are changed, because with a name like Jesse James Hollywood, why wouldn't you use that?
Yeah, I mean, and I thought that was a whole big joke too. I was like, oh, this fool probably just made up this name, and it's like, no, he was really
No,
born
that's
with
his
this name.
actual birth certificate name. His parents named him that.
Yeah, I thought it was just some, like, he was like some douchebag that like decided to change his name because he was a drug dealer and wanted to sound cooler. Like, my name's Jesse James Hollywood. I live in the San Fernando Valley. And it's like, no, this fool was really named like, so your parents are kind of the douchebag in a sense,
Mhm.
because their last name is Hollywood,
Is
but
Hollywood.
they're just like, let's name him Jesse James. That would be so cool. And it's like, oh my god, you guys are douchebags for doing that shit.
Right?
So,
So,
oh my god.
but let me clear this up. Oh, there we go. Then let's see. Okay, so this little tiff breaks off, like I said, between Ben and Jesse James. It got to a point where they were going back and forth with each other, calling each other, doing the little immature threat things.
Hmm.
Well, Ben broke windows out at Jesse's home. Straight up, busted the windows out of his house.
Like a vindictive ex-girlfriend.
Right? So, well, the reason why he did that, well, at least what they depict in the movie, is when they first get in that little first tip about the money, they,
Hmm.
um, in the movie, they depict that Ben's character almost drowned Jesse James. So I don't know if that
Ooh.
really happened, but we do know, in the funny scene where the crap on the carpet and stuff. I don't know if that actually happened. I think that was a little embellishment, but
Right. Just to give like some like intensity of how petty and just how ridiculous and crazy
ridiculous
these guys were.
these guys were. They were literally, they may have been, I think the oldest was 20 or 21 at the time of the incident. None of them really were very mature from what
No,
I
they
could
weren't.
see. They were still little adolescent boys, just being turds,
Just
for
being
lack
shitheads,
of a
literal
better.
shitheads on the
There you
carpet.
go. There you go. My brain just went, whoo. All right. So, okay, here we go. Sunday, August 6th, 2000. Jesse goes looking for Ben in a white, um, like work van.
Uh-huh.
He has two friends with him. 20-year-old Jesse, and please forgive me if I murder these last names. I am not
No pun
supposed
intended,
to.
right?
Right?
Yikes.
Literally. Um, I want to say it's Rugi. Um, they were friends. One of them, he was Jesse's like number one guy in the movie.
Mhm.
He was played by Justin Timberlake. Um, And then you've got William Skidmore. William Skidmore was the muscles. He was the one to kind of rough up people. He, again, another juvenile delinquent.
I know. I
That
kept
had
thinking
been
skid mark the whole time. I'm like, look at this skid mark right here. I was like, oh, that kind of fits his fucking last
literally,
name, man. Like, you're a
but
piece of
yeah.
shit, dude.
It gets better. So Skidmore, um, and Jesse, they're riding around trying to find Ben. They're not having any luck. Well, little do they know, Ben is sneaking, or not Ben, I'm sorry, Ben's little brother Nick had just gotten into a fight with his mom the night before.
Okay.
Like, he came in late, was out partying with his friends, and normally Nick was a very good kid, not usually in trouble. But here recently, him and his mom had been getting into it a little bit, and he had been out drinking and didn't want to face the music. So he heard his mom up and about. He decides to jump out of his bedroom window and just spend that Sunday by himself. Is
Okay.
what they think. Just clear his head, after getting in a fight. I don't want to deal with that crap this morning, it's probably still kind of hungover.
Kind of sounds like a typical teenager thing to do too. Like
Exactly. Like, fucking,
fighting
I'm
with
out.
your parents, running out of the house, partying the night before, not wanting to fucking own up to your shit. Kind of, typical teenager shit.
Exactly. And he was 15, so that's his mindset.
Yeah.
As he starts to walk, he is no more than a few hundred yards from his actual house when the two Jessies and Skidmore. See, you
You
got
almost
me
said skid
wanting
mark, huh?
skid mark. I was about to say skid mark, but I stopped myself and double checked first.
He is a skid mark. It's okay.
Okay, Skidmore. That they see him, and I believe it was Jesse Ruji that said, "That's his little brother. That's his brother." As he's walking down the road, so they decide they're gonna quickly pull over. There was no real plan, no real thought of it. They start kind of roughing him up, kind of, not like beating the crap out of him, but kind of scuffing him up a little bit,
Yeah.
kind of knocking him around. And at one point, like I said, this is broad daylight. This is probably about 11 o'clock. 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. So it's
And we
still
see that these kids don't make very good fucking choices throughout all of this. So it'd be typical that they're doing this shit in broad daylight.
exactly. And then again, they also Jesse says, Jesse James says, get him in the van. So they, the other Jesse and Skidmore start trying to get Nick into the van, and Nick is like, what the heck's going on? Finally get him in the van. They go to take off, and the funny thing is, they leave Jesse James standing out on the side of the road because they locked him out of, like the whole, like, the door was locked. He went to reach for it, and
Oh God.
they literally left him standing on the road with the victim in the back, and you know what I mean?
Oh my God. Yeah. Great choices, guys.
And
God,
they
come
started
on.
to take off. Like, they started to roll
Oh.
away, and he's like, really? So that really did happen, because that was
Kind of need the mastermind behind
behind it
this.
all.
Come on, guys.
Exactly. Come on, guys. Some mastermind, though, right?
Right?
Um. So the van. They got back into the van after leaving Jesse standing on the side of the road for a second. And they wanted to get away, as far away from um, Nick's older brother as they possibly could, knowing that he's probably right there in town. They wanted to get away. So they went to Santa Barbara, where uh, Jesse, or Justin Timberlake's character in the movie,
Mm.
and he has a buddy that lives in Santa Barbara, so they go to his house, and Jesse asks him, "Hey, do you have a room we could use for a little bit?" And so the guy's like, "Yeah, it's in the back," kind of like fishy, but just a group of guys is like, "Everything all right?" And he's like, "Yeah, there are so many witnesses to what happened to this kid before his actual death. It's disgusting."
And
There
nobody
was
said shit.
there was one girl that did,
Okay.
but yeah, but there was 38 people that witnessed this kid either with Jesse, either one of the Jessies,
Yeah.
because they were the main ones that had him,
Mhm.
or I'm sorry, actually Justin Timberlake's character is the one that pretty much held him the majority of the time. They
Right.
only had him for like 60 hours, I believe it was.
Yeah, they didn't have him for very
They
long before
didn't have
everything
him
went
for
down.
very long. But while they're at Jesse's friend's house in Santa Barbara, um, they're Jesse James is in the bathroom with Skidmore, and the other Jesse is sitting out in the front room talking with his buddy, and they're duct taping and putting blindfolds over Nick's eyes and trying to keep him contained, like he's a prisoner type thing. Well, the guy whose house they're in, his roommate comes out of his room or out of the shower and sees this kid sitting there, duct taped and blindfolded, and he's like, "Dude, they've got a kid like wrapped up in your bathroom, bro. Like, what the hell?" So homeboy kind of flips out and is starting to get kind of loud. And Jesse James, being who he is, has a pistol in his waistband, lifts up his shirt, and is like, "Calm the fuck down, chill the fuck out, get the fuck out. We'll be out in a minute," type thing. Like he goes in this guy's house first off, and like takes charge of the situation. Just like, yeah, that would not really happen.
Like, you're not even gonna bring a fucking pizza with you. You're just gonna walk in here and start barking orders and shit. Like,
Exactly. So homeboy then looks at him and says, "I'm going to Fiesta. Y'all better not be here when I get back."
mm,
So him and his roommates leave the house. They all decide to leave too. And I guess it was at this time that Jesse James kind of thought of his game plan.
mhm.
Because Fiesta is like a big party, but everybody was going to Fiesta. I think his girlfriend at the time's birthday was either that day or the next day. I
So they
can't
were
remember.
having a fiesta in Fiesta.
Pretty much. Yeah. 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 It was her 20th birthday. So, this this sick guy, they they go to the restaurant for her birthday party. Jesse James, herself, and her family and whatnot. They're all hanging out at the restaurant. Jesse James is there. Normally, this guy pays with cash everywhere he goes. That night, he pays with a credit
That's weird.
card. We'll get to that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But wait, there's
No,
more.
but wait, there's so much more. In the beginning, I said that Jesse James's dad, um, would, like I said, he was a big pot dealer,
Mhm.
but that was the hush hush part of his life. Like, not many people knew that, but apparently a lot of them did
Right.
because of how good he became at it, I guess. But in in the documentary or the little thing we watched about it the other day, it was saying that Jesse James's dad was on set for the film.
What?
Yeah. Remember I said he had gone missing? Whenever,
Yeah.
the case happened in 2000, but Jesse James wasn't caught until either 2004 or 2005.
I think it was 2005 because like the
2000,
movie
it was 5,
because
came out in '04, and then he was caught right after the movie came. Like as the
yeah.
movie was releasing,
Mm-hmm.
they found him.
Right.
But everybody thought that his dad was helping him.
Yeah, that's what
Everybody,
I had heard too. Like his
a
dad
lot
was
of
sending
people
him
thought his
money and
dad
shit.
was sending him money and keeping him hidden and telling him where to stay, because it was his dad's lawyer that kind of kicked off the whole ending process of, effects in a way, because after Jesse, like I said, Jesse James had the other Jesse take this kid to his house
Mm-hmm.
and just act like he was his buddy. This
Yeah.
kid stayed at Jesse's house for 2 full days, stayed the night. Meanwhile, this kid's partying up. He's living his best life. Somehow in the mix, he loses his V card. And the kid is having a good time. Jesse's making sure nobody's hurting him. He actually did a pretty good thing. Yeah, it's a fucked up situation, but the kid wasn't really fighting back. Nick wasn't fighting back because he idolized his big brother. Even though his brother was so different from him, he wanted to be like his brother.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to be cool. He wanted to be, just some aspects of his brother. He was hoping that by doing this for his brother would make his brother realize that, hey, my little brother does like me, and hope he would get some kudos from his brother for standing in for him. Because they told him from the jump why he was there. It was
Yeah.
because his brother had a debt, and as soon as the debt was taken care of, you were going home, kid. That's what Jesse kept telling him. Now, Jesse James, on the other hand, he was never really around the kid Nick very much at all.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to keep his distance. Like I said, he had already started planning some of his escape plan long before Nick was actually murdered.
Oh wow. Because he
So
knew
him
this was going to
using,
happen. He knew it was going to go down, and he was going to have to hide out.
because Jesse James, being who his father was, had a lawyer ready to go. His dad was out of town that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of started stressing himself out because he's sitting there thinking, well, what's going to happen to me if we do get caught? What happens if the kid does tell? And so this idiot calls up his dad's lawyer and is like, look, hypothetically, say that you know a friend of mine's kidnapped a kid because his brother owes him some money, and kind of spills the story to him. And then he goes, what would they be looking at? The lawyer straight up said, if it's kidnapping, you're looking at 25 to life. More
Oops.
likely life for kidnapping and imprisonment. So Jesse James, being the 20 something he is, in the life that he is in, forgive me, the cold water feels dead. That he decides he is going to have them kill the kid. Instead of just releasing the kid, they were going to kill him, which in the movie they depicted Justin Timberlake's character, that he was constantly, every time that he was alone with the kid, he'd be like, hey dude, you want me to just give you a bus money and you just go home and just forget this ever happened?
Mm-hmm.
And the kid's like, no, I'm not going anywhere. I want to do this for my brother, so there's no problems. Multiple times, even the night that they were waiting on their ride to go basically kill him, they didn't know that, though. There was one person that knew that they were killing him.
Mm-hmm.
And he shows up later, but as the night progresses, and everything, there was even a time where Nick was left with a girl named Natasha. Natasha was a 17-year-old. She was the only one that noticed the cuts and stuff at, the first time they're hanging out. Because like I said, there was multiple parties that this kid went to, Nick went to with all the guys. Like almost all the guys were caught right after Nick's body was found, except for Jesse. But they said that Natasha was the one that made a big stink about him being a stolen kid. Like, you shouldn't be here. I can tell you're not here on your own free will. And the kid's like, don't worry about it. He had a couple of little scuff marks where they tousled him on the floor, on the ground before they got him in the van. So, he had a little scuff marks, and she's like, you don't look happy to be here. And he's like, oh, don't worry about it. I'm just relaxing and having a good time, because they were smoking pot, they were drinking, and they said there may have even been pills involved. But like I said, the kid was having a good time. And I hate that he did have to go out the way he did. But I look at it as at least he had a good time before he went out.
Yeah. I mean, and that was the thing too, is that a lot of people sit there and go, oh, well, he's dumb, he should have ran. It's like, well, like you said, he was trying to do something for his older half brother. And on top of that, when you don't have constant fear instilled in your brain, you're having a good time. You've got girls, you've got parties, you've got pills, you've got alcohol and all this other shit. You're just having a great time. You're not going to be like, I need to fucking run. I mean, especially when you're a 15-year-old boy, you're not going to go, I need to fucking run.
And you're hanging out with 17 and 20-year-olds.
Yeah, you're with the cool kids. So you're not like
cool kids. Yeah. You're not in any danger that you can tell. So you're having a good freaking time. It's just,
he's not sitting there thinking, I'm going to die at any moment. These guys keep telling me I'm going to die. So he never really had
not tied up anymore. He was only tied up for a little bit. And once they got to Jesse's house, which I might have left that part out. Once they got to Justin Timberlake's character's house, the tape came off, and he wasn't wrapped up until they killed him, just before they killed him. Yeah.
Damn.
But let's see, where was I at? Okay. So after talking to the lawyer, Jesse James then calls up a buddy of his. That buddy's name is Ryan. What was your last name, Ryan? I can't find it. I didn't write it down. I'm a ding dong. All right. But anyways, Ryan is in the movie. He's played by... Oh my goodness. My brain is gone. Alrighty. Disregard. Anyways, Jesse calls Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
And Ryan is the one that has the debt to Jesse James.
Okay.
He is basically Jesse James's little, for lack of a better term, bitch boy.
Oh, makes sense.
Cleans his house. Now, Ryan is not Hoist. Ryan Hoist, I want to say is what his name.
Did it just pop into your head? Popcorn.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, it's cool. I do that shit all the time. We call it popcorn. So it just goes pop. There it goes.
But Ryan owed him money. Ryan was slower. He was on the baseball team with all the guys. However, he was a little like they just said he was slower, so he wasn't as bright as Jesse and the other guys. Okay. And he worked at a dead end job, and they asked him, how many hours did you work, type thing, and he'd be like, I don't know, that kind of thing, like
enough to make an honest paycheck, motherfucker.
But he owed Jesse money, so Jesse's like, you've got a lousy job, you're never gonna be able to pay me back with that. So he made him do chores around the house. He was doing dishes, mowing lawns, picking up dog crap, just taking out the trash. And if he finished early, guess what? He made him go do it again. He's kind of a dick to him.
Douchebag.
Yeah. So he says, I have a way for you to squash your entire debt with me. Don't know how much his debt was to Jesse, but he took it. Nobody else knew of this conversation except for Jesse and Ryan. Ryan ends up showing up because on the last day, Justin Timberlake's character, ends up taking Nick and everybody. Nick, when he needed to get away from his dad for a while because he lived with his dad, he would go throw parties at the hotel. I forget the name of the hotel. I don't think I wrote it down. But he would just go to the hotel and throw hotel parties just to kind of get away for a little bit. Mm-hmm. So he says, we're going to go have a hotel party. You're going home, kid. You know, one last hoorah. You're going to go have fun. So they get to the hotel. Everybody's having a good time. And about 11 p.m., Ryan walks into the hotel party. And when he walks into the party, the whole party kind of gets really quiet. Not for good, but just kind of mellows out. Like, yeah, like they could feel. So everyone started leaving the party about 11. Because when he came in, he kind of said, hey, everybody, the kid's going home. I'm his ride, you know, yada, yada. So he goes, but then he goes straight back to like the bathroom area of this, like it was like a suite like they had. It was weird. Like it had its own bathroom, multiple bathrooms actually, now thinking of it. But anyways, he goes into the bathroom and he was at Jesse's house first. He had been at Jesse's house, Jesse James's house. Let me rephrase that. And he had gotten some equipment to take care of what he was going to be taking care of. So he was kind of inspecting the weapon that he had taken from Jesse's house, which was I believe it was the Tech 9. And it was upgraded. So, you know, it had an extended clip and all kinds of stuff, which is highly illegal in the state of California. But he grabbed the gun and kind of checked everything out, put it in a bag. And then he grabbed another kid. He grabbed Graham. There we go. Graham Presley. And Graham, he was a shy kid that just wanted, you know, was hanging out at the houses and just hung out with these guys and probably bought pop from them a couple of times. Just kind of, a lot of this story is in the wrong place at the wrong time. A lot of this story is that. But Ryan grabs Graham and says, you're coming with me. We got to go do something. Well, apparently at some point in time, Graham was asked, do you know where the best place to get rid of a body is?
Oh, shit.
So Graham's kind of like, oh, you know, yes and no. But he's like, all right, well, you're coming with me. Well, they go to the SUV that Ryan had borrowed from somebody, and they've got shovels in there, and he takes Graham out there and he makes Graham dig a grave out at, they call it the Stoner Lookout, the lizard's mouth is what they said. And he probably thought he was digging his own grave, to be honest with you. He thought that he did not know this guy very well. You know, he Graham had seen him maybe a couple of times before, but he didn't know who Ryan was. He didn't know what Ryan was about. And then this guy asks you where to bury a body and then hands you a shovel and tells you to start digging.
Yeah, I'd be freaked the fuck out too. I'd be like,
With a
for
gun held
what?
on you. With a gun held on you, mind
My
you.
Uber's here. I have to go.
Right? But they went back to get Nick and Jesse, Justin Timberlake's character, to take them up the hill. Now, mind you, they get in the vehicle, they start driving. This kid has got to realize they're not heading where they need to head to take me home.
Yeah.
They start heading north. The kid lives south.
There's the sense of dread. I can't imagine.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine. Here he is, he's been doing everything they asked him to do. He's worked with them for the most part, and now it had to start setting in that he was about to die.
Jeez.
So they get him to where they buried, or where they had the grave buried for him, or dug up for him. However, you got to hike up a mountain to get there. And like I said, 38 other people had seen this child alive and in decent health. Like I said, he wasn't really beat up. He had a couple of scratches, maybe a bruise, but nothing that he couldn't heal from at that point in time. 38 people witnessed this child. And it took somebody that wasn't even around the kid for very long to decide that he had to die. That just boggles my mind beyond belief.
Yeah.
But as they're walking him up the hill, Graham starts to kind of panic and freak out because he's realizing who the grave was actually dug for.
Yeah.
That he dug. And he's like, I can't do this. He tells him goodbye and he waits in the truck. He doesn't run off. He doesn't, just run for his life. He goes and sits in the freaking truck. Well, while he's sitting in the truck, they get Nick up to the top of the hill and basically duct tape his hands and his mouth, like over excessively on both. Oh. Like the tape is like from the top of his nose to down here. Like
wow.
He's got like a collar of duct tape around his neck and face.
Holy crap.
His hands were placed together like this, almost in prayer form. Excessive tape. You couldn't see any of his fingers exposed through the tape. You could tell they were kind of panicky and, probably just kept rolling and they just kept wrapping it around, freaking out.
Damn.
So they get him all wrapped up. And of course, in the movie, it's depicted Justin Timberlake is the one, or Justin Timberlake's character is the one that has that job of wrapping up Nick. Mm-hmm. The one that has been with him and treated him like a buddy this whole freaking time. And if I'm not mistaken, it was even brought up when Jesse James was speaking to his attorney, his father's attorney, about the whole hypothetical situation. Mm-hmm. He goes, what if the kid was out partying with him and wasn't like caged up and lost his virginity and, just showing that the kid was having a good time. He even tried to play that off.
We kidnapped him, but we didn't abuse him. We didn't terrorize or torture him. So, come on, man.
So he was trying to get out of that life. That's what that was. Once he realized he was smitten for it. Just didn't know. So they get him all taped up. And a couple of different things that I read and saw one said he was on his knees. One just said he was standing near the edge of the grave. And the Tech 9 was shot. There was 13 shots from Ryan. Ryan is the one that pulled the trigger.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. 13 shots, which 8 of the 13 actually hit him.
Jeez. Like, what, did he close his eyes and just point and just pop, 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 or what? Like, I hope this hits you. Not like you're not going to suffocate from all the tape on your face.
Right. The Tech 9 is, I believe, a semi-auto.
So it like kind of sprays a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, I see.
And I think, and that was the upgrades they talked about earlier, or that I talked about earlier to the weapon. It had modifications.
Gotcha.
That might have been one. But it does burst.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I might be saying that wrong. Husband, don't get upset with me with that.
Don't dig a hole for me, please.
I should know things like this by now. All right. Like I said, after Nick was shot, 4 days later, his body was found in a shallow grave. Now, everybody that was at the party, like you said, you're like, nobody even said anything. Everybody thought he went home. They didn't see anything on the news until 4 days later when his body was found. When his body was found, Natasha was the first one to go to the police and tell them everything she knew about the situation, which she knew quite a bit because, like I said, at one point, he was chilling at Natasha's house.
Yeah.
Jesse and him had gone over to her house because she didn't live that far from Jesse's dad's. So Jesse decides he's going to walk home and leaves Nick sitting there for hours. And, it becomes another little house party at Natasha's. He could have gotten up and left. But this kid, I'm telling you, this kid wasn't trying to fight it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad and depressing in a way. But at the same time, he thought he was with buddies. Because that's the way it was depicted to him.
Yeah, he seemed kind of pretty naive.
And I think that has a lot to do with his upbringing. Because like I said, he was very sheltered. Whereas his older brother that he idolized was a pot dealer, was into other stuff. Like, but
more street exposed than going and just playing t-ball at the park every day.
Exactly. So after Natasha went to the police, all were arrested except for Jesse James. He was on the run. He had gathered money before Nick's body was even found. He had gathered enough money to set him up somewhere. Like, he got his ducks in a row either before or right after he told homeboy, you get a way to make up your debt to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was shortly after that call he started getting in contact with his pops. So, as for sentencing in this case, because at first, when the movie was coming out, again, like I said at the beginning, was 2004.
Mm-hmm.
They caught they caught Nick's killer. Well, Nick's mastermind of his killing.
Mr. Hollywood.
Mr. Jesse James Hollywood. They caught him. So with it being so far afterwards, he had to change the ending of the movie. Like, just before it was done, it was ready to go. But then I think, like I said before, Jesse's dad was a big thing about the production of this movie. He had his hands all over it.
Which is suspicious as fuck.
Thank you. And again, he's the one helping his kid, knows where he's at.
Mm-hmm.
Just people on the set said it was so tense when they weren't filming and they were still on set. Nobody wanted to say a word because they were worried that the FBI was listening in, because the FBI was following Homeboy's dad, if I'm not mistaken, because Jesse James became the youngest person to be wanted by the FBI because of this case.
Didn't they do like an America's Most Wanted like episode on this guy too or something?
Sure did. If I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure they did. But
I think they did. I think I heard something about they did an America's Most Wanted episode. Like right before he got caught, like it started becoming more and more publicized. And then it was like, oh shit, like I'm gonna get fucking caught soon. Like
he ended up getting caught, and then Homeboy had to remake the ending of the film. And then I think Homeboy's dad waited until the film was done to his liking, to where he messaged him and said, hey, you're probably going to be getting picked up soon. But who knows? Because like I said, he was just chilling, being a teacher or something. And
yeah, he was like an English teacher or something. And I do think he knew too, because in one of the programs that I watched, he had because he was in Brazil and he had a Brazilian girlfriend, and he purposely got her impregnated because he thought that if he got caught, they couldn't extradite him. And it was like, and at one point that would have been true, but they changed the laws because of someone else in the past had tried to do the same thing. And they're like, hey, people are catching on and taking advantage of this shit. So we're going to change this.
Now, you want to hear the messed up part?
Oh, there's something more messed up than this whole fucking situation.
Well, not just this part, but I was going to tell you all of their sentencing. And there was one more little tidbit. But Ryan, of course, the one who pulled the trigger, got death penalty. He's on death row, I believe, still as we speak. Jesse R., 11 years in prison. Justin Timberlake's character got 11 years in. Graham, the one who dug the grave, got 5 years in a juvenile facility. And once he turned 21, he was released.
Wow.
So yeah. Skidmore.
Skidmark.
Yeah, he lives up to that name, and this is that little tidbit I was getting to.
Ooh.
While he was doing his 9 years in prison for his part in this, the movie director hit him up. The one that actually... Oh, and the movie director that wrote the movie, or produced the movie, whatever you want to... directed the movie, Alpha Dogs... Same one as the Notebook.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I can't think of his name right now, but yeah, same. He contacts Skidmore in prison and wanted to get him on board with doing the movie. He said, are you freaking crazy? I ain't going to talk to you. I'm in prison. I talk to a film crew. I'm freaking dead.
Yeah, that's incriminating yourself more than you already have been incriminated. What the fuck?
Yeah. Let's see.
He's like, I just want the continuity, man. Come on, I just want this to be consistent.
Exactly.
And true to life is, more than what I could possibly make it.
Yeah. Well, and of course, the piece de resistance, Mr. Jesse James. He was 24 years old when he was the youngest most wanted by the FBI. When he was found 75 miles east of Rio, after the trial, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Boom.
But now, just one little thing here before we go. Rob and I also watched a little YouTube video of a gentleman actually had reached out to Jesse James.
I think I watched the same one. Something, parole. No, oh God, it starts with a P.
Kind of a heavy-set white guy.
Yes, he had like a black curtain behind him, kind of like mine, and he had like masks on the wall. Yes, I watched that this morning.
Okay.
Love it. Go ahead.
But he wrote to him, and Jesse swears up and down that movie does him no justice. That movie is a fabrication, complete fabrication.
Well,
If
thank your
that's the
dad then.
case, thank your father. Exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was gonna say. Well, then thank your dad. Oh, and of course he's born again and is a religious man. And
I love that shit. Because aren't they all at this point? But then they get out and do the same fucking shit. It's like, what happened to God? Did you leave him in prison? What the fuck?
who knows?
And I'm
Out
getting
my
out soon.
hand.
They're always saying this. They're always saying, I'm getting out soon. I've got a lawyer and we're going to bust this case wide the fuck open like the Kool-Aid man. Like, fuck. Sorry. It just excites me.
Ah, it almost infuriates me sometimes. Like, really? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's hilarious. It's hilarious how they all say and do the same shit.
oh yeah. Oh, and one other side note, I did read, I think it was last night, Susan, Nick's mother,
Mm-hmm.
passed away last year.
Oh.
So she, but she did everything she could. You know what I mean? In the movie, they depict her as a basket case, which any mother would be in that situation. I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, according to the movie, of course, she had attempted suicide. I don't know if the real mother actually did that. I don't think so, but you never know.
Right.
That's a difficult thing to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw conflicting stories about it. So, but I don't even remember what it said she had passed away from, but she had passed away last year.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. This is sad. So sad.
Oh my gosh, that's kind of a nutso story, and it's just like kids, crime doesn't pay. So,
It really doesn't.
and that's
It
the
may
thing
be
too. Sorry, go
quick,
ahead.
but it's not. You know what I mean? It might be temporarily the best thing for you, but it's really not in the long run.
No,
No.
it's not, and it really sucks because if you've not been familiar with this story before this episode, just listening to this episode, I think everybody would agree that if he would have just let this kid go, this kid wasn't going to say shit. Not at all. Even if he paid him, not paid him, threatened him, not threatened him, this kid wasn't going to say shit.
No,
I think you wouldn't even have
he
to have
was
threatened
helping
him.
his brother.
Yeah.
If anybody, he would have talked to his brother about it.
Exactly. And his brother wasn't going to say shit about it either. His brother probably would have been pissed off, number one. Number two, his brother was going to be terrified and like, I'm not going to say shit because I work for this fucking fool and I know what he's capable of and I don't want to fucking go that far. Nobody was going to say shit. Like, this was all really pretty avoidable.
It really was, but because he had spoke to the attorney and he said he was going to be looking at a death penalty, either death or life in prison for the rest of his life because of it, he freaking panicked. At a 20-year-old living the lifestyle he was living, he panicked. Yeah. He was still a kid at that point. I'm sorry. Even at 20 and 21, we're still learning. Like,
yeah,
we
haven't lived a life yet.
No, we barely stepped our foot off the front porch.
Yeah, exactly. And it is really sad because this kid, Nicholas he was only 15. So he didn't even get that as far as these guys have in their very young adult lives. And over what, man? Over what? Over fucking money and drugs?
Money and weed.
Shit that he didn't have anything to do with him at all whatsoever. Like, he had nothing to do with this. It was his his shit ass brother.
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
But I did notice too in the movie they did depict that Nick, it may have been that he was a good kid, but like all good kids, everybody experiments with stuff as kids.
That doesn't, fuck. That's just shitty. That's really shitty.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that was the case of the true story behind Alpha Dogs, the murder of Nicholas Markowitz. Really shitty story. Really, honestly, should not have even happened to this kid at all. At all. Just because, you got a bunch of dumb fucking kids that think they're grown-ass men doing a bunch of dumb shit.
Thinking they're
And,
gangsters.
yeah, I'm a
When
fucking
they're
gangster.
wanksters. When they're
Santa Barbara
wanksters.
gangsters, yo. Yeah, what? Shut up. Fucking idiots, man. Some of them deserved, I think, more than what they got. Some of them got got exactly what they deserved, but man, whatever. These dudes are fucking douchebags. Skid marks and douchebags.
I'm sorry. Jesse James looks like a douchebag that I went to high school with.
I know. You notice there's a lot of guys in prison. They all kind of have a similar look to them. Like before they even get in, it's like facially, they all basically have like a similar look to them. It's like, yeah, you're going to go to prison when you grow up. I can already see it on your facial features.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I already see this
Sad
coming.
but true.
Yeah. Jesus. Oh, God. All right, guys, we are at the mark.
Oh, and it kicked us. All right, y'all. We're done for the day. See you next week. Bye.
No, what the hell happened? Oh, Dez is gone too. Okay, guys, well, we are at the mark. Let me try that again. We're at the mark. So thank you guys for joining. You can catch us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, at The Devil Made Me Do. Did she come back? Did she not come back? Let me see. No, she's gone too. I don't know what the hell happened. Anyway, check us out, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Make sure you follow us on our Instagram at The Devil Made Me Do It podcast, where Des puts up clues for our next week's podcast. And if you guess the topic correctly or the case topic correctly, we send you something cool. So make sure you guys check it over there. If you are an audio podcast listener, check us out on BUZZSPROUT, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher. I think we're on Pandora now. I got to check that again. Almost pretty much anywhere you listen to audio podcasts. Until then, I'm one of your hosts, Joe, and we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend.